Okay, good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming. At 6:30, I'm going to call the meeting to order.
Commissioner Joseph,
Here.
Commissioner Syverson. Here. Commissioner Viscara.
Here.
Vice Mayor Lama is absent. Commissioner Svechin.
Here.
Mayor Svechin.
Fine.
We have a quorum.
Okay. Pledge of Allegiance. Would you like to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Rabbi Barron, are you doing an invocation for us, please?
Good evening. It's wonderful to see everyone. And it's an honor to be here. Dear God, Master of the universe, we stand humbled before you this evening as we recognize all of your blessings that you have bestowed upon us. We're mindful of the fact that you have blessed this city with wonderful leadership, direction, dedication, and guiding spirit, which has resulted in the many successful achievements over the last 27 years. We recognize that we are gathered before you this evening in pursuit of fulfilling your wishes, as you, dear God, empowered humanity with 7 basic universal laws after the great flood of Noah. These laws were once again reaffirmed by Moses at Mount Sinai to be taught to all of humanity. Universal laws that provide a framework of law, order, and justice, which will allow humanity to settle the earth in a civilized manner. We recognize that we have been entrusted by the citizens of Sunny Isles Beach to perform this sacred duty. Almighty God, please provide us with the consciousness to constantly be aware of your presence, so that we are consistent to our mandate. Please grant us the wisdom, intuition, sensitivity, and the patience necessary to succeed, so that we leave a legacy of having a positive impact upon society for many generations to come. Protect our police force, our servicemen and women serving domestically and overseas in the name of freedom and democracy. Please give them the peace of mind, insight, and intuition to be successful. Please guide our city staff to make the right decisions with honesty, integrity, and knowledge for all of our citizens into the future. And may they continue to serve as positive role models for our beautiful community. Almighty God, in these times we do not take our health and safety for granted. May everyone gathered here tonight and all the residents of Sunny Isles Beach be granted with good health, peace of mind, and prosperity. And let us say amen.
Amen.
Thank you. Mauricio, will you play the opening?
Yes.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We appreciate your attendance and thank you for joining us tonight. Before we begin, there are a few important reminders regarding conduct during our commission meetings. Please ensure all electronic devices are turned off or set to silent mode to maintain the integrity of our proceedings. Mutual respect is the foundation of productive discussions. We ask that everyone remain silent and attentive when someone is addressing the commission. Clapping, applauding, heckling, or any verbal outbursts, either in support or opposition of the speaker, are strictly prohibited. Any individual wishing to address the commission must fill out a public speaker's card and submit it to the city clerk before the relevant item is announced. Each speaker is granted a maximum of 3 minutes. Should you exceed this time, the chair will notify you to conclude your remarks. Speak directly to the agenda's points. Remain concise and avoid redundancy. Should an individual speak without the chair's permission or continue speaking after a warning, they may be escorted out of the chambers. It is essential to avoid making impertinent, slanderous remarks or becoming boisterous while addressing the commission. Such behavior may lead to being barred from future commission appearances, unless the majority of the commission members present vote otherwise. The presiding officer may disallow signs or placards in the commission chamber. Please exit the chamber quietly and without disruption. The goal of our meetings is to facilitate public input and participation. However, disruptive or disorderly conduct hinders our collective objective. Individuals who want to speak on an item on the agenda are asked to fill out a public speaker's card and give it to the city clerk before the item is called. Speakers are asked to speak to the issues, make comments concise and to the point, and refrain from making duplicate comments. All speakers will be limited to 1 3-minute comment per item. If you exceed the 3-minute allotment, the chair will advise you to finish your comment. If you speak out of turn without permission from the chair and/or you do not cease speaking after 1 warning, you will be escorted out of chambers. In order to maintain orderly conduct and/or proper decorum at these meetings, anyone who interferes with the orderly process of the meetings after a warning may be removed from the meeting and may be barred from further appearance before the City Commission, as permitted in S-286-0114, FS and SS 74-5 and 74-21 of the City's Code of Ordinances. Any necessary removal will be made at the direction of the mayor and will be carried out by law enforcement or a designated sergeant-at-arms. It is essential that attendees adhere to these rules of procedure to ensure productive meetings that serve both the public and the City Commission. Thank you for your cooperation and understanding.
Great, thank you. I'm just going to add to that. First, welcome everyone. And for those that have not been here before, I'm going to just remind you that if you want to speak on an item, the public speaker cards are in the back. Please make sure you fill it out before that item is called. Also, this room echoes, so if you're having a conversation or you need to have a conversation, please go outside because we can hear everything that you're saying, and it's very distracting. I'm also going to add to the comments made about decorum and the process of how you come up and speak. Everything is done through the chair, which is me. You have to wait to be recognized, and that includes all of us up here too. The commission needs to wait to be recognized. Please understand we're trying to facilitate the business of the city. However, this is also, as the public, this is your meeting, and you will have your time to be heard. We just ask that you be polite, and all comments are through me, the chair. So thank you and welcome. Okay, go ahead, Mauricio.
Okay, so we are in section 4, and we have a few changes to the agenda tonight. The following items have been revised. 9C, which is an ordinance related to temporary signs. 10E has also been revised, which is approving an agreement with Fabricon for a modular. 10I is revised to include additional language based on a press release from the White House and recommended language from Commissioner Joseph. And 10H has been provided with additional information.
Okay, I need a motion.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor? Okay. All right, go ahead, Mauricio, next item.
Next item is zoning. And I did not print out your introductory statement, Mayor. If you give me 1 second, I can read it.
Sure, please, take your time. This is a good opportunity to go fill out that public speaker card if you would like to speak on something.
Okay, I'll read it, Mayor, if you don't mind.
Please, go ahead.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this evening's agenda has one zoning application. In these matters, the commission sits in a quasi-judicial capacity. The decision of whether or not to approve a zoning variance is not a popularity contest, but must be based on substantial competent evidence as it is presented tonight. If you intend to provide testimony on any zoning application, you must be sworn in by the city clerk, and you should also fill out a public speaker's card and give it to the city clerk before the item is called. We will first hear from the city staff and then from the applicant. After this, the mayor will allow anyone from the audience to be sworn in who have been sworn in to provide testimony. The zoning applicant has a right to cross-examine any witness and for rebuttal. Please make your comments concise. So with that, my statement, my preamble. In accordance with the LDRs of the City of Sunny Isles Beach, all items to be heard today have been legally advertised in the newspaper, notices have been mailed, and posted on the properties. All persons wishing to speak at this hearing, please raise your right arm to be sworn in. Is the applicant here? Okay, do you swear that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Thank you. And before we continue, are there any ex-parte communications that need to be disclosed by the commission?
No.
No.
Not me.
No.
I don't think
Commissioner
anyone-
Joseph? Commissioner Joseph? Do you have any ex-parte communication to disclose? Thank you. Okay.
Do you want to introduce the item 6A?
You're right. Thank you, Amy. Six A is a request of Beach Club acquisition for site plan modification and variances related to the Turnberry Ocean Club located at 18501 Collins Avenue.
Okay. Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. This is the zoning hearing for planning application PZ 2024-03 for the Turnberry Ocean Club. Oh, here we go. The applicant is Beach Club Acquisitions LLC, which is the owner and the developer of the project. The project is completely constructed and the applicant is seeking a final certificate of occupancy. The reason that we are here tonight is because they are requesting a variance to decrease the required number of street trees along Collins Avenue from 7 trees to 5 trees. And there is an accompanying site plan modification to revise the landscape plans to reflect the 5 trees instead of the 7 trees. This hearing was originally scheduled for June, and at that time the application also included an additional request, which was a site plan modification to allow the overhead utility lines to remain. However, since June, those lines and poles have been fully removed, so that is no longer part of this application. Oops, I'm going the wrong way. So this is the proposed landscape plan. Highlighted in yellow are the 5 street trees along Collins Avenue, and the 2 trees that are requested to be removed are at the northwest corner. What happened was there was a lack of coordination between the plan sets, and in that northwest corner there was water main equipment that was installed, and there's also FPL easements and North Miami Beach water easements that are now in place there. We sent this to our landscape architects for review, and they confirmed that 2 additional street trees would not be able to be accommodated on site. So in the future, we're going to pay special attention to this to make sure that utility improvements do not impede the placement of street trees. This is a recent photo of the site. As you can see, the overhead utility lines are gone, and I tried to indicate the 5 street trees that are installed on site today. So with that, I'll hand it over to the applicant for their presentation, and I will be available for any questions.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Dan Atkins. I am President of Governmental Affairs for Fontainebleau Development. With me is Rodrigo Carrillo, who is Project Executive for Fontainebleau Development, and we're here tonight to ask your approval to amend the site plan and the variance. It's necessary because, as Amy stated, there's no way to plant these trees there. The easements are there for the city, FP&L, and it's necessary because we can't do it. That being said, and again, I appreciate your consideration of this, we fully intended to plant those trees. That was our intent. So in that regard, we would also like to make sure that the city somehow in the future gets the advantage of that, so we would like to make a contribution to the city traffic fund equal to what the city's landscape subs would charge. And that amount, I believe, is around $20,500. So in addition to that, we would like to offer that contribution to the city, because we fully intended to do this and didn't expect this to happen. So your consideration of this request is greatly appreciated.
Thank you. As far as donations are concerned, we would have to vote for that separately, correct, Mr. City Attorney? Or could that be a part of this?
It could be part of this. It would be as a condition of the approval. Mhm.
Perfect, so that, okay, wonderful. Does anyone have any questions?
No?
No, so do we need a motion to amend this? Or if they do this, we don't need anything?
We would need to have it reflected as one of the conditions, so we would have to, I mean, we're stating it on the record, but we'd have to amend the resolution to incorporate that condition.
Okay, wonderful, thank you, that's
Thank you.
very
Appreciate
generous of
it. Thank you.
All right, I need a motion to approve?
I make the-
Motion?
As amended, right?
Yes, as
Yeah.
amended.
Correct.
Second? Okay,
Commissioner Joseph,
Yes.
Commissioner Stuyvesant,
Yes.
Commissioner Roscaro,
Yes.
Mayor Svechen.
yes,
The application is approved 4-0.
thank you. All right, next item, please, Mauricio.
Mayor, we have to go back to 3A. I skipped the minutes.
Oh,
So 3A is the summary minutes for the regular city commission meeting of July 18th, 2024.
okay, do we have any public speakers?
No, ma'am.
Okay, any comments from the commission? If not, can I get a motion? Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, now we can go on.
Okay. Now we're on to item, ordinances for first reading. 7A is an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Sunny Isles Beach, Florida, amending Chapter 74 of the Code of Ordinances, titled Rules of Procedure, providing for observability, providing for repealer, providing for inclusion in the code, providing for an effective date.
Thank you.
And I will start this off, Mayor.
Okay,
Mayor and Commissioners, this ordinance is being brought before you to amend Chapter 74, which is our Rules of Procedure. The reason for this is because, as of late, we've been referring a lot to this section of the code, and as we've referred to it, we've realized that there are several sections within this chapter that need to be amended to reflect either current practices or best practices. And I'll just briefly go through some of the major changes. For example, one of the bigger ones is the code provided for referral to Mason's Manual for Legislative Procedures, which is a manual that's more adept for larger legislative bodies such as the state legislature. For local government agencies, and I would say that the vast majority of municipalities in the state of Florida use Robert's Rules of Order, which is more conducive to business that's brought before this governing body. Another significant change is that we are clarifying the language in how a presiding officer is selected in the event that the mayor and the vice mayor are both absent. And that would be for the city clerk to open the meeting, and then immediately after the roll call is made, to have an election with the members that are currently present to designate one amongst themselves to preside. That designation would only be effective until and if the mayor or the vice mayor attend the meeting thereafter.
Excuse me, didn't we decide that that would be the former vice mayor?
No, Commissioner, that is for representation at events, is what you're
So
referring
why
to,
would-
and I'll get to that.
I want to make sure that we start the meeting correctly, so just, you need to wait until you're
Okay.
recognized. So let him finish, and then we'll ask the questions.
Okay, the next change is clarifying that there is a recess month in the year, so per the city's charter, the commission is required to meet at least 11 times a year, provided there's no emergency that would cause the meetings to be canceled or postponed. We're also including or clarifying the language in how a member of the commission can call for a special commission meeting. That would be making the request in writing to the city clerk, who will then in turn get in contact with the remaining 4 commissioners to set up a time and date and explain what the need for the special meeting is. And we are increasing the required notice from 48 to 72 hours. So in the event that a special commission meeting is needed and is called by one of the commissioners or even by staff, we would need to give at least 72 hours notice to the public.
Unless it's an emergency.
Unless it's an emergency, which case, depending on the emergency. And both a special commission meeting and an emergency meeting would need to have a quorum for it to be scheduled, obviously, as well as a workshop. The next major change is to the order of the agenda itself. So current practice is that we have a commission workshop at 3 o'clock where we have our special presentations and our discussion items. So we are amending this section of the code to remove those from the regular city commission meeting. Okay, so now we can go down to the registration of the speakers. So again, this is just some cleanup language. Right now, obviously, we allow all public comments on any actionable item of the commission, but we're just making sure that it's understood that public comment, while it's allowed, can be done or can be made before a vote is called. So once the item is called, preferably all speaker cards are turned into the city clerk. The comments are made, and once the commission starts their discussion and debate, then the public hearing closes and no more comments are allowed after that. We are also requiring any speakers that are representing anybody, whether it be a condominium association, a group of homeowners, to disclose that information to the commission before getting up to speak. We included language to prohibit proxy statements. So anyone that speaks or raises up to speak, aside from them representing a group of homeowners or a homeowners association, all comments that are made have to be your own comments, your personal comments. In the event that someone wants to make a comment that is either unwilling or unable to do so, they may submit their comments in writing, which will then be made part of the record, of the meeting record. And with that, I'll turn it over to Alan, to the city attorney. He'll go over the decorum.
Please, go ahead.
So with the decorum section, we needed some clarity and more explicit language. It seemed it was very general, and we used to field a lot of questions with regards to what's permissible and not permissible. So as a limited public forum, we're afforded the opportunity under Florida law and Florida statute, as well as its interpretive case law, to ensure proper decorum so the businesses of the city can occur efficiently and without disruption. So it's sort of self-evident in the language we've put in, but it's just a lot more explicit as to what is permissible and not permissible. We've added some additional provisions with regards to conduct as well, and with regards to consequences if in fact that is not upheld. We are retaining certain portions or most portions of what is already there, but again, we're just being more explicit as to what's permissible and not permissible.
Okay. Is that all?
Well, one thing that I'd just like to point out, because we are in an election cycle right now currently, one of the provisions that we included in there is that the political activity, whether it's passive or, I'm sorry, I'm looking for the language.
Take your time.
Yeah, active or passive political campaigning is strictly prohibited.
Okay.
Because like the city attorney mentioned, this is a limited public forum. So that means that any candidate or even a person that's supporting a cause can't wear any clothing that says their political position here in the commission chambers. They may do so on public property, obviously, because it is a public forum, but while a meeting is going on here, that's strictly prohibited.
When you mean cause, it's something that's going to be
Like a
in
question
the
on a
election.
ballot, yeah, in the election.
Right.
yeah.
Not someone that has a charity, right?
Anything
Okay.
that's strictly political.
That's going to be on the ballot, okay.
And then did you go over rules of debate, any other changes, or you want me to go through that?
You can go ahead if you want.
Okay, so one of the major clarifications that we made there is with an abstention. So we provided language that's already included both in the state of Florida, Florida statutes, and in Miami-Dade County laws, where all commissioners are required to vote. So no elected official is allowed to abstain from a vote unless there is a conflict of interest or a perceived conflict of interest. Regarding
And just a note on that, the perceived conflict of interest is only for quasi-judicial. If it's non-quasi-judicial, you are required to vote unless there's an actual legal conflict.
Okay.
And the only way, well, never mind, I don't know what I'm saying. So, okay, in regards to an item that's presented before the commission that receives no motion or a second, We clarified that language because it was a little confusing, the way it was written before, where any item that's brought before the commission that fails to receive a motion or a second cannot be brought before this body again for a 3-month period.
Mhm.
Whereas before, it only applied to items that had, in fact, received an action.
And also, there is still a provision for reconsideration at the same meeting or the next meeting.
Right, that doesn't change.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. So in terms of renewal, for an item, if an item is brought back within a 3-month period that failed, that version of the resolution or any modified version that substantially contains the same information as the item that was previously voted down still cannot be brought back before the commission, and the presiding officer has to declare that motion out of order.
Okay.
And then we clarified the adjournment. The adjournment is a privileged motion. It's always in order, meaning that at any point, a member of the commission can move to adjourn the meeting. However, that motion still requires a second and a majority vote.
Okay.
And then lastly, to Commissioner Joseph's question, in section 74-23, representation at city functions, we included the language that in the event that both the mayor and the vice mayor are unable to attend a function at which the commission is requested to attend or to speak, that the order representation be by commission seats, starting with 1 through 4.
Okay. All right. Do we have any public speakers?
No, ma'am. Not
All
for this.
right. And
So I have a question.
do you have one moment. Please go ahead. You're
Yes.
recognized.
So why wouldn't the order of seats pertain to also what we discussed, where you said it's up to the clerk to
Because the direction was specifically for representation at city functions. Commission meetings obviously are different, and it's best left to the members that are present to designate amongst themselves a presiding officer in the event that the mayor or the vice mayor are both absent. It's best practice, and it's actually done in several municipalities throughout the state.
I just thought it would make more sense to follow through the same procedure.
Do you have any other questions? Commissioner Stevison?
Does anyone else feel the same way or no?
I don't. I'm
You really want
comfortable.
to, you really want to have that done by a majority of the commission that's then present?
Because you don't know who's going to be there.
Correct.
Well, that's one aspect of it, and then if you always do 1, 2, 3, 4, then 1 is always getting it,
Right.
and there's no rotation. It's understandable if you get to the point like we set it up with appearance at events where if the mayor's not available, the vice mayor's not available, and you don't have time to designate someone at a meeting, then in that circumstance, it would go in that regard. But that's at representation of functions. Here in your legislative function, your official function, it really should be decided amongst those that are here as a quorum.
Okay. And I just want to clarify for the public that these changes are not something that the clerk and the city attorney made up. This is consistent with Robert's rules. The other thing that I wanted to mention, unless Commissioner Viscar, did you have anything that you wanted to add?
Just a question, actually, because it was my understanding that we had to vote always.
You do.
Right.
The only time is when
Why
you-
are we, was it not in there before?
It wasn't really explicit, but the language that was in there that, and I don't know that it directly addressed it, but it wasn't very clear. So it replicates essentially what Florida statutes provides.
Okay.
Commissioner Stevison? Okay, the other thing that I wanted to mention that's not included in here, so I want to get feedback from the commissioners. So right now, as often, there's a convention, Florida League of Cities. I'm attending, I think 2 other commissioners are attending, and there's a lot of vendors there that have been actively lobbying, I believe probably all of us, to come see them, offering such things as, gift cards and so. And so I want to add to I want for you all to consider that within these meetings, no vendors will come and speak without being invited either by staff or at the request by staff, because ultimately it puts every other vendor at a disadvantage, and potentially it then disqualifies that vendor from ever putting in a request for proposal. What do you all think of that?
That seems logical.
Because right now, anybody that lobbies us has to be registered as a lobbyist, first of all. But also, it's really the function of staff to be bringing anything to us. And really, we don't decide who is chosen. It's done through procurement. So it sets up a false sense of, you know, being able to convince us when they would still have to go through the procurement process.
I don't understand I understand what you're saying, but I don't understand it in this context.
So within the rules of the meetings, within the rules of decorum, so we can, let's say when we have our workshops and we have an item that we would like something presented on, whether it be, for instance, you know, childhood cancer or something of that sort, then we would have an expert in that field potentially come and present to us. However, if it's something regarding a product that somebody wants to potentially sell to the city, and so now they're coming to do a sales pitch in front of the commission, that makes it different.
Where they've already pitched you,
Well, it
actually.
doesn't matter if you pitch, they should be pitching us anyways. It should be done through staff. But my
Right.
point is that if you have somebody that wants to, whatever, come and sell you tires, and you have them come and speak to us in a public forum where they have unlimited time to present, now everyone that wants to sell the city tires, we're obligated to give them that same time. That's my point.
And also, Mayor, if I could, you have established processes for that through procurement and a variety of the statutory provisions with regards to proposals and things of that sort. So for them to come independently to pitch to the city commission as a body, in one sense, kind of stacks the deck in their favor potentially, and it goes outside the confines of your established procedures. So that creates problems there as well, and you're going to get into bid protests and all these types of things.
Right.
Does that in any way violate no, well, I guess not if there's no actual bidding going on. But I was thinking about the cone of silence and how that plays with that.
That's once we put out a bid.
Okay.
Right, so that would be if we have an active bid, you'd have a cone of silence. But the effect, the purpose behind it is a little the same, because again, if you have someone coming in that gets an opportunity to pitch a product to you, where in our closed process of procurement, they don't have that opportunity, or the others don't have that opportunity, you now have one vendor that's presented their product to the whole of the commission, whereas 3 or 4 of the vendors don't get that opportunity because our process doesn't provide for that. Ultimately, you decide who gets chosen after that process, but you don't get to hear the proposals, so you're not part of the procurement committees.
No, I disagree with that. I don't support that.
Why?
Because, you know, what if it's a new product, new software, it's the first time? That's exactly what we did a few months ago with the hot salad. So they came, they presented their product, and we were considering even giving them $500,000 to buy their product. So is that, I mean, you're trying to put that with this ordinance right now? to
My
add it?
point is that it's part of our current process, is
Okay.
that everything needs to go through staff. So
Okay.
this is just to clarify it so that we all understand that those sort of things should go through staff and not be brought by us individually, because we're putting those vendors at a disadvantage. And then we're opening up ourselves to then be actively lobbied by anyone that wants to sell anything to the city.
They're gonna lobby us anyway.
Not
So-
necessarily, because if they know that they're not going to get an audience, if they believe that they can come and get an audience, then we're putting ourselves at a risk, because now any other vendor that wants to come and speak to you about the same thing, we're obligated to hear them out as well. And that's not our purpose. That's not the purpose of these meetings, is to hear sales pitches, is my point. That's not what we're here to do.
It doesn't preclude the vendor from coming to you individually, pitching their product, and then you think it's a great product, you go to the city manager and say, this is something we really need to look into, and then the city manager can bring that, well, first determine what the proper process would be to bring it, because if it's something that we know we're going to actively procure, then we have to decide how exactly it would be presented to you. But for them to come initially as a public body, it kind of jeopardizes your processes that you already have in place, but it doesn't preclude them from coming to you individually.
Well, still I disagree.
Okay, Commissioner Viscar?
I think we need to let staff do their job. And vetting vendors is part of that. So I prefer that it go through staff first. But I don't know that we need to add it here, but I do agree that it should go through staff first.
Okay, Mr. City Attorney, just so that we, wait, Commissioner Joseph, are you in support of this, or?
I'm in support of not having people come before us that haven't, just trying to pitch us products. I think they should be going to staff and have staff present it to us.
Okay, so given that we have this, the question is that, does it need to be codified? Should it be codified?
It helps if it's codified. Does it have to be? No. But it's helpful to the extent that if it occurs, I mean, it puts the public on notice, and then it gives you the ability to enforce that. We can also come up with some language and propose it to you to see, rather than thinking of it in an abstract, we can
Yeah.
possibly come up
Okay.
with some
I'd like
language
to
and
see
present it to you.
that, because
Yeah.
my question marks are around whether it belongs in decorum, or if this is more procurement process, or,
It-
I don't know that this is a decorum issue, but I would,
It wouldn't be in decorum. I think it
Okay.
would be in another part of 74.
right, okay.
But 74 has a litany of different procedural aspects of your meetings.
Well, so that's what was throwing me off.
Yeah.
Like, I don't see this as a
No, that's not
decorum.
decorum.
No, but
Point.
it's not, it's just
But
part of it.
I do think that, we need to let staff vet.
Okay, we can try to come up with some language, show you exactly where it would go,
Okay.
and then that way you'll have the benefit of seeing it.
Perfect, thank you. Okay. I need a motion.
Motion.
I need a second.
On
This one,
the whole, yeah, okay, second.
okay? Mauricio?
Commissioner Joseph,
Yes.
Commissioner Stuyvesant,
As it is, right?
Yes,
Without
as
any
is,
amendment?
yes.
Yes.
Commissioner Viscara,
Yes.
Mayor Svechen.
Yes.
The ordinance passes on first reading 4-0. Second reading is scheduled for September.
Okay, next item, please.
Sorry, Mayor, 1 second, my computer closed. Okay, 7B is an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Sunny Isles Beach, Florida, amending the Sunny Isles Beach Code of Ordinances, Sections 26-3 and 26-13 of Chapter 26, entitled Elections, Section 62-7 of Chapter 62, entitled The Purchasing, Section 104-4.2 of Chapter 104, entitled Art in Public Places, Sections 250-14 and 250-15 of Chapter 250, entitled Utilities, and Sections 265-11 and 265-62 of Chapters 265, entitled Zoning, to remove all references to advertisement and publication of notices in newspapers of general circulation, and to provide for advertisement of notices on Miami-Dade County's publicly accessible website as permitted by Chapter 50 of the Florida statutes, providing for severability, providing for repealer, providing for inclusion in the code, providing for an effective date. Mayor and Commissioners, this item, so if you recall, during the legislative session of 2023, I believe, the Florida legislature amended Chapter 50, which would allow municipalities to not be bound by the requirements of having to publish their notices in the newspapers. We are now allowed to publish them on Miami-Dade County's website at a significantly lower cost than it would to have them published in the newspapers. So this ordinance amends all sections within our code that reference the need to publish these notices in a newspaper, and it changes them to allow us to be able to do so on Miami-Dade County's website.
Okay, do we have any public speakers?
No, ma'am.
Okay, do I have any questions from the commission? I'll take a motion, please.
Motion.
Second.
Go. Mauricio?
Commissioner Stuyvesant,
Yes.
Commissioner Viscara,
Yes.
Commissioner Joseph,
Yes.
Mayor Svechen.
Yes.
The ordinance passes on first reading 4-0. Second reading is scheduled for September.
Great. Next item, please.
9A is an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Sunny Isles Beach, Florida, repealing Chapter 17 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Sunny Isles Beach entitled Computer Use and Electronic Communications, providing for repealer, providing for effective date, and this is second and final reading.
Mr. City Manager?
Mayor, members of the commission, this is a second reading of our ordinance to repeal our computer use and electronic communications, and this was done in response to some changes with the Florida statutes.
Okay, do we have any public speakers?
No, ma'am.
All right, any questions from the commission? I'll take a
No.
motion, please.
Motion.
Second.
Mauricio?
Commissioner Viscara,
Yes.
Commissioner Joseph,
Yes.
Commissioner Stuyvesant,
Yes.
Mayor Svechen.
Yes.
The ordinance is adopted.
Okay, next item, please.
9B is an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Sunny Isles Beach, Florida, amending ordinance number 2023-606, approving budget amendment number BA 2324-03 to the city's operating and capital improvement budget for 2023-2024 fiscal year, authorizing the city manager to do all things necessary to implement the terms and conditions of this ordinance, providing for an effective date.
Mr. City Manager?
Mayor, members of the commission, this is the second reading of our budget amendment that includes standard things that we discussed at the last meeting in the workshop.
Okay, do we have public speakers?
No, ma'am.
Okay, any questions? I'll take a motion, please.
Motion.
Second.
Mauricio?
Commissioner Joseph,
Yes.
Commissioner Stuyvesant,
Yes.
Commissioner Viscara,
Yes.
Mayor Svechen.
Yes.
The ordinance is adopted.
All right, 9C.
9C is an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Sunny Isles Beach, Florida, repealing Chapter 227 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Sunny Isles Beach entitled Signs, Temporary Political, and Chapter 265, Article 9, Section 265-63 entitled Temporary Political Signs, repealing and replacing Chapter 265, Article 9, Section 265-57 entitled Temporary Signs, amending Chapter 265, Article 9, Section 265-51, Section 265-52, Section 265-55, and Section 265-56 to conform to existing law and to establish regulations governing the use and display of temporary signs. Renumbering Chapter 265, Article 9, Section 265-63.1, 63.2, and 265-63.3. Providing for repealer, providing for severability, providing for codification, and an effective date.
Mr. City Manager?
Mayor, members of the commission, this is a second reading of our temporary sign revision ordinance. During the workshop, you had directed us to change one section regarding one sign for 120 days total, which we did.
Great, thank you. Do we have public speakers?
No, ma'am.
Any comments from the commission? I'll take a motion, please.
I'll just add before you do that for the record, from first reading to second reading, we did add some language to two sections, which was discussed also at the agenda review workshop. Under 265.57A 10E, the language was stating that can be displayed for not more than 120 days, once per year, and then we've added per sign to clarify that. That's also reflected, the same exact language, in section 265.57B5. Again, can be displayed for not more than 120 consecutive days, once per year, per sign.
Great, thank you. I'll take a motion.
Motion.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
This is a roll call, Mayor.
Oh, I thought we were on, oh, sorry.
Commissioner Stuyvesant,
Yes.
Commissioner Viscara,
Yes.
Commissioner Joseph,
Yes.
Mayor Svechen.
Yes.
The ordinance is adopted.
All right, now on to resolutions. 10A.
10A is a resolution authorizing the expenditure of budgeted funds with Central Square Technologies for maintenance and subscription services for certain information technology services.
Mr. City Manager?
Mayor, members of the commission, this is a renewal for some IT subscription software.
Great. Do we have public speakers?
No, ma'am.
All right, any comments from the commission?
No.
Take a motion, please.
Motion.
Need a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Next item.
10B is a resolution authorizing the expenditure of budgeted funds for the purchase of 4 Toyota RAV4 Prime all-wheel drive vehicles from L&J Fleet Sales.
Mr. City Manager?
Mayor, members of the commission, this is the expenditure of previously approved budgeted funds to purchase 4 vehicles for the building department.
Do we have public speakers?
No, ma'am.
All right, any comments?
No.
Take a motion, please.
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Next item, please.
10C is a resolution approving an agreement with Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company as the primary awardee to provide fleet maintenance and repair services to Group 1 vehicles.
Okay. City Manager.
Mayor, members of the commission, this is an agreement with Goodyear Tire Company for, they will provide fleet maintenance and repair services for city vehicles.
Any public comment?
No, ma'am.
Questions?
No.
Take a motion.
Motion.
Need a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, great. Next item.
10D is a resolution authorizing the city manager to negotiate and execute an agreement with Schindler Elevator Corporation for the replacement of the elevators located at the pedestrian overpass bridge at Gateway Park.
Mr. City Manager.
Mayor, members of the commission, this is an item that's going to, an amount not to exceed $709,436 to replace the elevators at Gateway at the pedestrian bridge. During our workshop, you had directed us to go back and get a price for glass doors. So we're asking that you approve it now. We've approached the company and we're waiting for that cost to come back, and we would bring that in particular to you.
So it would come back to us.
It will,
Okay.
that part of it. the
If,
doors.
if that's possible, I think that would be a good thing, not only because it's a claustrophobic feeling, but we also have sometimes homeless, like sleepovers there, so
Okay.
that would be helpful.
Do we have any
Yeah.
public speakers?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
No.
Any comments from the commission?
Yeah, thank you
Um,
for considering my proposition. Thank you.
Okay. I need a
So,
motion.
I would like to.
You want to say something? Go
So,
ahead.
yes, at the agenda review, I had asked for someone to look into how much we had spent on this crossover bridge and the elevators and including repairs and all. And apparently, the number comes up to over $3 million. So I would just like to put that on the record and to have that in consideration of any other crossover bridges that we propose to build.
Okay, thank you. I need a motion. I need a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, next item, please.
10E is a resolution approving an agreement with Fabricon Modular LLC to supply, install, and construct a new 24 by 36 modular and pre-engineered building at 18070 Collins Avenue.
Mr. City Manager.
Mayor, members of the commission, we submitted a revision to this to allow the expenditure up to $270,000. This is to procure a modular building that we're going to temporarily house some of our staff in while we do renovations.
Okay, do we have public comment?
No, ma'am, but can I just add something?
Please.
Because this is one of the items that was revised before the meeting. So this resolution gives the city manager the authority to negotiate up to a not-to-exceed amount of $230,000 and to execute that same agreement.
Okay,
Repeat the number, please.
$230,000.
any questions?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
So this is going to be, it says temporary, but it's going to end up being a permanent building? Is that what I believe we said at the agenda review?
At times, according to the vendor, people have used it to be permanent. Our thinking is that it's going to be temporary, but the vendor explained to us that a lot of times it's purchased as temporary but ends up being there for a long time. So it is constructed to hurricane standards to be there for a longer period of time than just permanent.
Right.
Than just temporary.
Okay.
if that makes sense.
So visually, is this the type of structure that will look out of place, or is it something that we can somehow make look better if it's going to be there more permanently?
It's going to be somewhat obscured from view because it's going to be in the parking lot that is to the north of this building.
Right.
So it will definitely be screened from view from half of it, but we can also take measures to screen the end of it from view from the street.
Right. Okay, thank you.
And we're putting there the personnel from the building department, right?
The plan review. yes.
Okay, and when is it gonna be ready, Tony Ramos?
The updated anticipated renovation. It has currently been completely gutted. The interior is approximately 1 year or less.
Thank you.
And that's for the cafe as well?
Yes, we're including the cafe in that.
All right, I need a motion.
Motion?
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, next item, please.
10F is an agreement approving a First Amendment to the agreement with Stall Catering to provide rental management services for Gateway Center.
Mr. City Manager?
Mayor, members of the commission, this is the company that we use to rent out Gateway Center. You asked for some additional information that we provided to you in the number of rentals, but so far this has generated $115,300.90 to the city.
Thank
in
you.
income.
Do we have let me see for do we have public comment?
No, ma'am.
Okay, go ahead.
I didn't receive the information, the additional.
I believe it was email.
Yeah,
We
was
s-
Oh, I
we sent-
didn't.
Yes, you should have a memo that we sent.
No.
It was email.
No, yeah, I was gonna actually
They
make a motion to defer
wedding
the
and a bar
item.
mitzvah.
No,
Yeah.
it was
Yeah, we
email.
received, okay, I didn't
You
get it.
check your phone.
Okay, I'll check it out, yeah.
Okay. Any other questions? All right, I'll need a motion, please.
Motion?
Need a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
Aye. Next item, please.
10G is a resolution approving a First Amendment to the agreement with Southeastern Surfaces and Equipment to replace the hardwood floor in the Pelican Community Park Gymnasium.
Mr. City Manager?
Mayor, members of the commission, we had some delay in completing the floor in the gym due to weather, so this is merely a contract extension, but nothing is changing regarding the cost.
Got it. Do we have public speakers?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Any questions or comments?
No.
I need a motion, please.
Motion?
Second, Mauricio, you got?
Yes.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, great. Next item.
10H is a resolution rescinding resolution number 2019-2909 related to an amendment to the city's personnel manual.
Mr. City Manager?
Mayor, members of the commission, you had tasked me with looking at, I think, an overview of our health insurance costs. As you know, our health insurance has been going up over these past many years. Our latest renewal was going to come in at 35% above what we paid last year, but we were able to change providers. So as part of our overview, we've looked in the past at prescription costs, tiered changes. We've also looked at emergency room visits. During the review by our insurance broker, there was an item that came up of a prior commission approval amending charter officers and the provision of insurance. So in order to effectuate any changes in the future for future health insurance cost, this would be a change that the commission could make. I'll leave it
Great.
to
Do
you.
we have public speakers?
No, ma'am.
All right, any comments or questions? Go ahead.
I just
Commissioner
wanted-
Joseph?
Yes, thank you. So I just wanted to say that at the agenda review, I had questioned how many people this might affect, and I was told that it would probably be 3. Is that still the number?
Yes, yes, it is.
It's potentially affecting 3.
Yes, potentially. Correct.
Anyone
Okay.
else? All right, I need a motion,
Thank you.
please.
Motion?
Need a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Great. Oh, wait, did I ask if there's any public comment? I did.
Yes, we
Oh,
did.
yes, thank you. All right.
Okay.
10I,
10I is a resolution supporting the state of Israel's right to exist and to defend itself and its people against all aggression from the Islamic Republic of Iran and its proxies, including but not limited to Hamas, Hezbollah, and members of the Houthi movement within the Republic of Yemen, and supporting the United States' unwavering commitment to Israel's security, and urging the United States government to continue providing military support and arms to the state of Israel for purposes of its defense.
thank you. So this is my item, and during the agenda review, Commissioner Joseph and Commissioner Stevison asked to co-sponsor this, so I appreciate that. Thank you. I'm just going to say a few words about this. We've had a number of resolutions in support of Israel, so some people may be looking at home, may wonder, why do we keep repeating ourselves? Well, partly because Israel keeps getting attacked. It's the only country being attacked now from 7 different fronts, and more specifically right now, Iran. This is very personal for me. I have many family members that live in Israel. I have family members that are in the IDF. But we also have a lot of Israeli residents. We have a large Jewish population. And in general, I'd like to think that we have a population of people that are anti-hate and bigotry and support the state of Israel, which is the only Western country and democracy, the only democracy that supports Western values in the Middle East. Israel, in a lot of ways, is fighting for our values and fighting for Americans and preventing American troops from having to go there and deal with these terrorists. So as long as Israel keeps getting attacked, I hope members of the Commission will continue to sponsor resolutions to support Israel and do everything necessary to make sure that the people there, everyone's friends and relatives also know that the city of Sunny Isles Beach condemns all violence against Israel, supports Israel's right to exist, and will do everything necessary for them to know that. And again, we do also have a sister city there, Netanya, who had been very, very affected by this because the people that have been evacuated from the north, which is I think right now upwards of 80,000 people, have now trickled down, and Netanya has literally hotels that are just for these people that have been displaced, and no one knows when they can ever come home. So this also supports our sister city and Mayor Miriam. So again, I want to thank the Commissioner Stuyvesant and Commissioner Joseph for co-sponsoring. Are there any public speakers?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
Mayor, if I may add, just for the sake of the public, the title has changed to Commissioner Joseph's recommendation. We had it to exist.
Okay.
And there was some language we added as well with the White House recently, like 2 days ago. Reaffirmed its commitment to Israel and as well as providing a substantial amount of sale of assets to Israel.
Over 20 billion
Correct.
to sell, not to give.
So the title has changed somewhat.
Great. Okay.
Around 2026.
So, any comments or?
Yes, just that the sale would be through 2026, not current, not immediate,
Okay.
which is unfortunate.
Well, just keep supporting. Commissioner Stuyvesant?
No, but about the mayor of Netanya, I know that she is been struggling with some health issues, so maybe we could send something to her as a support, some kind of basket, to the mayor of Netanya. She's having like really bad health issues.
I can tell you that I think that if we sent her a message, like a personal message, she would appreciate that more because I've asked her what she needs and she literally says prayers.
Clear.
And so if we individually wanted to send her a message, even like a video, or she would really appreciate that.
Yeah, but something on behalf of the city, also physical, I think will be.
I'm not
She's our
against it.
sister city, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not against that.
I would be for that as well.
Okay, Commissioner Viscar, did you want to?
I do have some comments. I support the resolution, and but I did want to highlight again, like it keeps coming up, and the last time it came up, it was a resolution that failed, and I wanted to just mention that it's not because we have a commission that doesn't support Israel, because clearly we do, and we've supported everything unanimously except for that one. And it's because of the content of that resolution. It touched on it promised support. It was a statement of support, like this is, but it also promised to do something. And it's basically, tweaking some language around the Sister City program, which is unfunded. I think Commissioner Stuyvesant tried to discuss that part. Promising to change language around a program that's unfunded, then it doesn't accomplish anything. And then we're promising, then we're not going to be able to deliver on that
Commissioner
promise.
Viscar, I just want to, we have to be careful because we're talking about this item.
I understand
and
that.
That item we're not bringing back and we
I
can't
know
bring back.
that, but I wanted to mention it because it's why, I think it's important that we understand why we're supporting this. This is a statement of support, and as we should, right? But the other resolution was fundamentally flawed in its content.
But
not
again, we're not
because-
discussing that other
But
resolution.
But it is the
But
reason.
no, you're out of order, because we're
I-
not discussing that
It is the
resolution.
reason that it's
It's
my
not on the
reasoning for
agenda.
supporting. So I'll just finish quickly. I think that we inadvertently positioned ourselves to just score political points, and we shouldn't be doing that with something this sensitive. So, and because we're not doing that this time, I'm supporting.
I absolutely agree that using this for political points is repugnant. And like I said, I take this very seriously. This is very, very close to me personally. So with that, I'll take a motion,
Well, I would just like to add something as well.
as long as it's on this item and
Well,
not anything.
it goes to what Commissioner Viscara was.
As long as it's
bring
on
it up.
this item, otherwise it's out of order. It's not on
Well,
the agenda.
It can be out of order, but I'm just
No,
going to say.
you're not, you're out of order, and so I've asked in the very beginning that we maintain decorum, because we have the public here, and we need to show them how to behave at
I
a meeting.
understand,
So we
but
cannot expect them to behave if we can't.
There was wrath that was drawn
I'm
from
asked,
that
you are out
non-vote.
of order. You are
Oh.
not recognized.
That's okay.
There's no
I make
point
a
of order.
point of
You are-
order
you
in
are
order
out of-
to
what
be
is your
able to
point of order?
continue. That I'm following up on what Commissioner Viscara
That
said,
is not
which
the
was
correct
totally
procedure.
in order.
That is, no, it's not in order.
It drew wrath
It
from.
absolutely is
from
not. I'm asking
people,
for a
from
motion.
speakers, and it was totally unwarranted because the resolution itself
Commissioner
was-
Joseph, you are out of order. Stop.
Well, you get my point.
I will take a motion on this. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Okay, I need a second.
Second.
Great. All in favor?
Aye.
Wonderful, thank you.
Okay, we are now in the citizens forum portion of the meeting. The first speaker is Felix Liederman.
I'm going to remind the speakers that you have 3 minutes. Please say your name and address for the record. And despite what you just witnessed, I'm going to hold you to a higher standard, and you will not be able to disparage anyone. I ask that you do not bring up anyone's names, and all comments are made directly to me, the chair.
Sure.
Hello, sir. Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak before the commission. My name is Felix Liederman. I'm the resident of Winston Tower 700 Condominium Association. I'm also the president of that association. The subject of my conversation with you is permit application portal, recently deployed by the Department of Building Department.
Okay.
We all know that such software must be built with one goal in mind: end user ease of use. That cannot be said about current permit portal. This is not user-friendly at all. It starts with the submitting permit application, which is a fillable PDF that needs to be filled, printed, signed, notarized, and then uploaded. That is wrong. Application must be generated, and the key word is generated, via a series of interview-like questions. This portal doesn't have electronic signatures. They're not built in. Instead, wet signatures required with notarization in 21st century. Seriously? No integration. Web services were around for a long time, and I'm speaking from my experience as a software developer for almost 50 years. The web services were around for a long time. When user enters property folio number, the system has to do is to retrieve data from property records instead of requesting from the property owner to do this manually and then upload. That's not right. The same should be done with the SunBiz, DBPR licensing validation, et cetera, et cetera. There is no effective data logic deployed. Transactions are out of order and very often contradictory. Application permitting is a typical case management system. Any cases open must have a case manager, a single point of contact. Not happening here. People having hard time communicating. Bottom line, there are good applications that can be corrected, and there are bad applications that cannot be salvaged. This is the case where a permit application portal must be scrapped and redeveloped from scratch. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll look
Next.
into it.
You're not recognized. Next speaker.
Next speaker is Vitaly Falkovich.
Your name and
Good
address for
evening,
the
ladies and gentlemen of the commission. My name is Vitaly Palkovich, 9280 Southwest 167 Terrace, Palmetto Bay, Miami. As working here twice a week, I appreciate it, and being in the most of the meetings that I can make it here, this is one of the greatest commission that I observe as working in South Florida and attending the meeting. And today was a perfect example. Earlier today, if you watch the police chief commending his officers, also, where does it start with? It starts with city manager. It starts with who hires the police chief. And you can tell that by the rank and file in the police department. And where does that start? It starts with the mayor that we elect and with the commission. And to me, that's one of the most important things. I appreciate the mayor and commission on the 10I. I also ask that in the next couple of meetings that we able to have a resolution about having anti-Semitism here in South Florida, currently in St. Anne's. When I come in here to work, I'm not afraid of wearing Star of David as a Eastern European Jew. I'm not really afraid, but I know a lot of places some people are afraid. And I would love to see the resolution to how to fight that anti-Semitism in St. Anne's. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Next speaker is Greg Capra.
Good evening. Greg Capra, 257 Poinciana Island Drive. I'm deeply concerned about the state of politics in Sunny Isles Beach. One of our founding members recently remarked to me that Sunny Isles Beach has become the laughingstock of Miami-Dade County. Why? Sunny Isles Beach politics has never been dirtier than today. The very essence of our community, built on trust, integrity, and mutual respect, is collapsing. And sadly, they're right. We have commissioners who vote against city resolutions, not because they believe they're doing the best for our community, but because they hold personal grudges and agendas. This is not how governance should work. The previous mayor, who served only briefly, has played a significant role in this degradation. While in office, blatant lies were spread about opponents, and now, even out of office, she continues to interfere with our elections. This is unacceptable. We cannot allow our community to be manipulated by those who put their vendettas and agendas over the well-being of our city. But it doesn't stop there. A commissioner created flyers and circulated them on social media to demean a past African-American candidate for this commission and her daughter, who was elected as a PTA president. Let me be clear, such actions are not just disgraceful, they are deeply damaging to the fabric of our community. We should celebrate diversity and leadership, not tearing it down with bigotry and lies. The attacks did not stop there. The same commissioner targeted the president of the Miami-Dade PTSA with demeaning caricature cartoons. This is a tactic straight out of the gutter, designed to humiliate and discredit those that are working to better our schools and politics. We cannot allow this level of toxicity to define our politics. As if this wasn't enough, we certainly witnessed a commissioner's arrest at a PTA event that turned political, making the news. This spectacle further tarnished our reputation and distracts from the real issues in need of our attention. In an especially alarming incident, young men were used as political pawns to provoke a confrontation, and opposing candidates disrupted
Mayor.
the event.
Mayor,
I
just
call the quorum.
as a
This
point of,
reckless-
I
it
call
would-
the
Wait.
quorum. No,
Stop
I call
your-
the quorum, okay?
You
We-
can call what you want, but you're not being recognized right now.
I do have to caution, though,
Yes,
that
please.
public speakers are permitted on items and subject matters that are within the jurisdiction of the city commission. Campaigning and politics are not within the jurisdiction of the city. If there are issues with campaign practices or anything of that sort, that's within the jurisdiction of the Ethics Commission, not the City Commission. So it's not a proper statement to be made at the City Commission meetings. This is not a political gallery. This is for city business.
Thank you. Thank you for the clarification.
This reckless behavior
No, so
Merely
Mr.
continue.
resulted in tragedy.
Mr.
He has to stop.
Okay. Time is up anyways,
You
so.
took my time.
And I understand that, but what you're speaking about is not within our jurisdiction, so
It should be.
I understand that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Next speaker?
That's all, ma'am.
Okay. I want to just say quickly, today was the first day of school, and so for those that have children that started today, I hope it was a good day and it was safe and successful despite the rain. And I'm hoping everyone an amazing school year. And with that, we're adjourned. Thank you.